Now, let's get ready to meet Jasmine Lawrence. Jasmine is a robotics product manager on a mission to create delightful experiences that make a difference in people's lives. Currently, she's working on the Everyday Robot project at X, the Moonshot Factory, formerly known as Google X, a Silicon Valley company aiming to solve some of the world's most challenging problems with breakthrough technologies. As part of the Everyday Robot project, Jasmine is helping to build a new type of learning robot, one that can eventually learn to help everyone every day. Jasmine earned her bachelor's degree in computer science with concentrations in devices and artificial intelligence from the Georgia Institute of Technology. She also holds a master's degree in human centered design and engineering from the University of Washington. And if that wasn't enough, she's also an entrepreneur who founded the wellness and beauty company Eden Bodyworks. Jasmine, I know you're a busy person. Thank you so much for joining us here today and welcome to XSTEM.
Hey, Justin. I am delighted to be here with you today. So excited to be able to share my journey with everyone. All right, let's dive in. Hey there, my name is Jasmine Lawrence, and I am here to talk to you about real life robotics, my journey from turning my dream into a reality. It was a long and rocky road, and I'm excited to take you down there with me. So let's dive in. I want to start by sharing my journey with you, how I went from just an 8-year-old kid who was interested in math and science, like some of you might be, to living my dream as both an entrepreneur and engineer. Well, on the next slide, you'll see that it started in a very unexpected way. Yeah, these are lottery tickets. As a kid, my grandfather used to play the lottery all the time. And while I wasn't old enough to play, I was old enough to play with the tickets. And I would use these pieces of paper to build lots of different structures and just lean into my creativity. I didn't know that I wanted to be an engineer at that time. All I knew was that I loved building things with paper, whether it be dresses or buildings or breath powered cars. I was excited to use my hands and the things that I learned in school to create new things. But there was a pivotal moment in the late 90s that really inspired me, and that was a movie. This movie was called Bicentennial Man. As a lover of sci fi films, I would watch movies about space and the future all the time. But this movie really sparked something in me. It showed me a world where robots can come alongside humans in their everyday life and help them with dull, dirty, and dangerous tasks. It also showed the emotional connection that can be built between humans and technology as we work together to live in harmony. This movie showed me what the future could look like. And as a kid who had, been in science classes and seen all of the other things that were invented primarily by men, I wanted a space that was untouched, somewhere where no one could tell me what to do or what to create, and I could do the research and figure it out on my own. But along the way, I hit an unfortunate hiccup. As an 8-year-old girl who was a pageant model, who did things like I was Little Miss Hawaii in 1994, I actually ended up losing my hair to a chemical relaxer. I got the relaxer because I wanted long, straight, beautiful hair like I had seen in movies and TV, again, inspired by film on what I felt like I was supposed to look like to be able to present myself in society. But it was a really hard time for me losing my hair. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to go out in public and have people see me for what I felt was a lesser version of myself. But I learned so much from watching shows on TV, again, about how you can find solutions to problems, how you can create different experiments and try things out. So I decided to do that. I decided to experiment with natural ingredients and create my own line of hair and body care products so that I could live my life healthier and fuller than ever before. This research and investigating of oils and herbs and spices from all around the world inspired me to launch a company called Eden Bodyworks, named after the Garden of Eden. I was able to create a line of shampoos, conditioners, and eventually body care products to help regrow my hair. This creation and this company and my commitment to solving this problem for other women around the world really gave me a huge boost in confidence. I was so proud that I was able to create something that could actually impact people's lives. And it was very tough in the beginning, right? Going door to door, telling people my story, telling people about the thing that I invented, and really not getting a lot of traction because I was so young, because I was only 13 years old when I decided I want to build a business and I want to get my product out there to businesses around the world so that people could easily access these natural and effective and affordable products. But it only took one person, one specific person's recognition to really catapult my business into success. And that was Oprah Winfrey. As a teenager in high school, I was invited to share my story of what I created on her show. And it was amazing that she also had a similar story to me, where through her professional journey, she was criticized and stigmatized for the way that her hair showed up even as a professional network journalist. So being there and being encouraged by someone who looked like me, who through despite her journey and the odds that she faced, also found success in pursuing her wildest dreams, that nudge was the inspiration I needed to keep going. I'll just pause here and say it doesn't matter how young you are, right? You can pursue your dreams with a little bit of encouragement and building on some of those skills that you learned in school. So, like I said, I was still a teenager. I was still kind of living life, hanging out with friends. But I was thinking back to the movie, right? I was using the skills that I learned and the scientific method to create my own products. But there was more. There was more that I wanted to do. My mom took me to her job to take your daughter to work day, and that inspired me to learn the word engineer. And so I looked online and tried to find engineering schools that had Black students there, that had women engineers there. And that's where I decided that I wanted to start my journey, continue my educational journey at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was an amazing school. I got to find other nerds like me who were interested in building the future from scratch. And it was at Georgia Tech that I was able to finally program my first robot. I will tell you this, I knew nothing about coding when I joined the Robotics and Intelligent Machines lab at Georgia Tech, but I was willing to learn. I didn't know if I would actually be good at this thing that I'd wanted to do at this point for the last 10 years. But I was able to have a mentor, Andrea Tomas, and another graduate assistant, Maya Kaikmek, who were able to help me learn how to program, help me learn how they designed and broke down the robot's brain into different components. And so in my first project, I was able to teach a robot named Simon how to have favorite colors, how to figure out what things are salient or important in the environment to pay attention to, and to respond to them in systematic ways. I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled to finally be working firsthand on robots. But what I learned in college is that there is so much more work and research to be done to teach robots how to see, how to walk, how to dance, how to read, how to interact successfully with other people. And so to continue my journey to learn how to build products and how to build technology that people can actually use in their day-to-day lives, I decided to follow up on an internship and go full-time working at Microsoft. At Microsoft, I joined one of the most amazing teams there, which was Team Xbox. I worked with a diverse team of people from all around the world, working on a product that was in millions of homes all around the world. This is the experience that I was hoping to get because one day I imagined that robots would be in homes around the world. And working with this team, I was able to figure out how software and hardware play together, how to meet a schedule of getting software deployed out into people's homes, and also how to listen to customer feedback and understand what people really need to have fun and to play games. And within a couple months of joining, I was able to launch my first hardware product. This was an amazing experience for me. This was just seeing the result of days and days and months and weeks of hard work and teamwork to build something that I could hold in my hands that I knew people would love to use. I also got the opportunity to travel the world. In this next slide, you'll see me in Germany speaking to thousands of journalists, telling the stories about how we've brought the amazing experiences of Xbox to your PC as well. being an advocate for developers, for other gamers, even girl gamers and great gamers of color was an amazing experience for me. It taught me about advocating for others and just showing up and being present so that other people could see that, hey, there are people that look like you, that have backgrounds like you, that play games and that tell stories. And that was something that really inspired me to figure out how I could have more empathy for different types of people in my work. And so I set off on an ambitious project to build clubs on Xbox Live, safe spaces where gamers of all backgrounds could create their own communities and set their own rules for how they feel safe to play online. So that experience building clubs is what really inspired me to go back to school. I know that some people just go to college and they're done with that, but for me, I was excited to continue to learn more the engineering principles and all the science that was necessary to build software. I wanted to actually learn more about people. And so I went to the University of Washington to learn human-centered design and engineering. Now, this is an extremely long degree name, but essentially what I learned here is how to research, design, and build sustainable products. After being out of school for a little while, I decided to try something new. Continuing to grow my product line and building Xbox was great for a few years, but I wanted something new. So I switched teams to go work on the Microsoft HoloLens. It's an augmented reality headset that you can interact with gesture and voice with holograms in your real life. Now, I pursued this opportunity because I wanted to work on an advanced technology, something that people hadn't quite figured out how this was going to fit into their world yet. Because similar to robots, we might have a few of them in our lives, but we're still figuring out the best ways to interact with them and to find the right problems that we want to apply them to. Working on HoloLens was an amazing experience. We got to assist doctors and construction workers and builders and so many different people using this technology that had never been created before. I learned a lot more about really watching what people do and to understand how you fill those gaps with what exactly you're going to build. There was another pivotal moment for me next. I went to San Francisco to go to the Maker Faire, which is an amazing community of nerds and builders and artists who create amazing things, like Megabots, who created this 16-ton giant fighting robot that they were going to fly to Japan to duel with the country of Japan. It was inspiring for me. As a supporter on their Kickstarter, I was able to ride in this robot and really live my Gundam fantasies. It was at this moment that I realized that, hey, I think I've waited long enough to pursue my dream. I think I've waited long enough and doubted myself enough that it's time to just try it. So after this experience, I moved down to the Bay Area and got a job at SoftBank Robotics America, working on my first humanoid robot, Pepper. Pepper was the first robot that I worked on that worked with people in the real world, where we designed experiences and technology for Pepper to be on the job, assisting people as a receptionist, as a promoter, as a sales agent. It was amazing for me. I learned a lot more about kind of the Japanese culture and how they interact with robots and how it's a little bit different here in the States. There are fears and concerns that you have to overcome in order to have people feel comfortable with this kind of technology. Working on Pepper was a blast, but I got another opportunity to move on to Facebook, where I got to work on the Facebook portal. It's a video communication device that really allows you to connect with people who are far away. And I know a lot of us have been stuck at home during the pandemic. And so having a portal and being on the team that helped bring this to life was really meaningful for me. I used this product to connect with my family who was far away from me at the time. And we really felt close. We were able to play games and just keep up on the day-to-day life. At Portal, I worked on the accessibility features, where we helped people with physical disabilities and mental disabilities use the software in an effective way. I loved working on my first non-hardware product, but I knew that I had this calling. I remembered back to the movie that I saw, and I found the opportunity to work on the Everyday Robot project. What really inspired me was that this was a large and really intelligent team that were willing to anchor in and really figure out how we solve the problems that I saw in the movie Bicentennial Man. How do we bring robots into your everyday life? How do we bring them to work successfully in unstructured environments? And learning is a key part of that. Throughout my whole journey of pursuing robotics, learning was at the heart of it, trying new things was at the heart of it, and working with a diverse and inclusive set of people really allowed me to see different perspectives and build something that could help lots of people around the world. It was incredible, this long, long journey from seeing this movie to finally being able to have the skills and the opportunity to work on this team. And I'm so excited that I was able to land here. Now, before I dive into the Q&A with Justin, I'd like to share a few of the lessons and learnings that I had throughout this journey of pursuing robotics in real life. The number one lesson is that your career path doesn't have to make sense to anybody but you. I've worked in gaming, in health, in AR, VR, in communications, and accessibility, on mobile devices, on gaming consoles, and then finally on humanoid robots. And my journey has been winding and not straight. I didn't just get a degree in robotics and then dive into that. I learned so many different things along the way, and I'm excited that I was able to meet lots of different people who helped support me and mentor me to get there. So if you're at, this early stage in your life, or even if you're a parent who's looking to make a career change, I would say go for it and don't try and justify or explain what you want to do to pursue your dreams. Next, what I've learned is that money is not the most important way to measure success. While my business was profitable from an early age, what really mattered to me was the impact that I had on inspiring and encouraging other women to live happier, ambitious, and full lives, that they could do anything despite the way that they looked or how other people saw them. Even as I build robots that impact people's lives, we want to keep them accessible and affordable and low cost. But selling millions of robots isn't my goal. It's to bring those robots into situations where they could help people in their everyday. And those people's lives and the change that we make is how I know that I'm on the right track and building the right things. Lastly, at the heart of what I do in both of my jobs as both an entrepreneur and engineer is love. And I believe that no matter what your career is, our job is to love people, whether it's the people that you're building products for or the people that you're working with to build those products. Together, when we have a supportive and loving environment, we can be so much more creative and ambitious and really get to the heart of what people need. So thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to my story and the advice and the lessons that I've learned. It's just been a pleasure to be able to pursue my dream. And I want to encourage you, if you're not sure if robotics is for you, to just get out there and try it. Meet new people, try new things, and don't limit yourself because of anything that anyone says or any doubts that you might have.
Jasmine, I'm trying to pick my jaw up from the floor. That was incredible. I mean, man, you just came with all the energy, with all the cool things. Like if I was a kid and I knew that you were working on all this stuff, I would just have to run up to you and get your autograph. Thank you so much for that presentation. We got a couple questions for you really quickly here. I want to learn about maybe some balance here. So you have this robotics career, you have this entrepreneurial venture, and maybe some kind of
Yeah.
personal life. I don't know, but how do you balance all those things?
Definitely. From an early age, I learned to keep a tight and a clear schedule. I make space for obviously sleeping 8 hours every night. I work, in a really defined schedule, and I like to plan ahead with vacations or time to hang out with my friends or family. And I know that time of rest and play is really important to my creativity, and that exposure to even traveling to different parts of the world help inspire me to solve new problems. So for me, I've got a calendar and a clear to-do list that I check in with each morning when I wake up and each night before I go to bed. But yeah, I would definitely say that my life is not 100% work. It's not.
Wow. And to do all that and say that, I think that's an inspiration for kids. All right. So, one more question here. Let's look into the
Sure.
future, right? We got AI, we got machine
Mhm.
learning, we've got robots becoming more and more dexterous as time goes on. What do you see
Yeah.
robots' role in our lives being in the future?
That is a tough question because there are so many opportunities, whether they're helping us in the healthcare space or exploring new planets. The opportunities for robots are whatever we can imagine. I'd love to work with robots that help support people in their day-to-day lives, people who are mobility impaired, or even having them working and doing construction or exploring the ocean so we can find better ways to protect it. There are endless opportunities, and I would say that anyone watching, if you've got ideas, let's brainstorm, let's work together and kind of bring those to life.
Awesome, Jasmine. That was an action-packed keynote, and thank you. That was a profound answer. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today for questions, but everybody, please give Jasmine a round of applause, a virtual high five, a virtual fist bump, all those things. She is killing it. Make sure you follow her at Eden's Jasmine to stay up to date on her work. And Jasmine, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much for sharing and inspiring our youth. And I'm sure that you're making tech that will change our lives for the better.
Thank you so much for having me.